And use the weapons.
God willing, they will learn to use the weapons effectively.
The conviction of the volunteers has to be admired. The capability is open to question. Gaddafi's forces were said to number around 300 men. They attacked the strategically important town of Brega at first light, and witnesses said they began firing indiscriminately.
This is in the morning. Many people come in mafia for Gaddafi. He killed many people in the morning.
Heavy weapons were sent forward and hundreds of trucks and cars stacked with ammo and guns taken from captured army stockpiles. Casualties came back. Many hurt, he told us, many dead. This doesn't seem to have been a full-fledged assault, more like a probing attack. But it shows that Gaddafi forces are strong, they can strike at will, and that the Libyan leader shows no signs of giving up. Quite the contrary, he's hitting back. 10 kilometers from Brega and more forces congregated. No one seemed to know exactly what was happening. Then a Libyan Air Force bomber circled overhead. Its first bombing run hit close to the centre of the fighting near Brega University. The second hit our position. Landing 70 meters away. Miraculously, no one was hurt. Then Gaddafi's fighters fled.
We suddenly saw some Toyota cars with anti-aircraft batteries. They started firing mortar rounds. The shells fell near us.
They left behind spent mortar, shell and machine gun casings and 10 dead civilians. 21 people were wounded, including a 7-year-old boy who survived a bullet lodged in his nose. These people who were killed, were they fighters or were they ordinary people?
Ordinary people. Ordinary people. He is going when Gaddafi's people. He is coming to university.
2 of the bodies were said to be of Gaddafi fighters. It was claimed one carried ID showing he was from Niger in Africa, but it's hard to verify. Despite the howls of bravado, this brazen attack has provoked both fear and anger and reminds everyone of the violent threats of Gaddafi. On Wednesday, we witnessed why the opposition is desperate for a no-fly zone and why it may not have the military capability to liberate all of Libya by force just yet. But this conflict seems far from over, and the question is how many more Libyans are going to die before it is. Tony Bertley, AlJazeera, Brega, Eastern Libya.
Al Jazeera has learned that Muammar Gaddafi has accepted an offer by Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez to mediate the crisis in Libya. Our correspondent Dima Khatib has the details from the Venezuelan capital, Caracas.
Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez spoke on the phone to Muammar Gaddafi and proposed to him the idea of forming a commission for peace in Libya, and Muammar Gaddafi is said to have approved that idea. From then on, the Venezuelan foreign minister contacted Amr Moussa, the Secretary General of the Arab League, and I am told by a government source in Venezuela that Amr Moussa also approved the mediation idea. So Venezuela is trying to basically form this commission. It's in touch with several Arab countries and Latin American countries, as well as countries in other places as well, and organizations such as UNASUR, which is the Union of South American Nations, and ALBA. And we hope in the next few days to find out exactly what the efforts will be about and what they hope to reach in mediating between the government in Libya and the representatives of the rebels.
Now, the Arab League says it could impose a no-fly zone over Libya if fighting continues. The group's Secretary General says this action could be taken in coordination with the African Union.
We'll continue consultations on the best way to protect and guarantee the safety and security of the Libyan people and that of the Arab nations. We will not remain idle in light of the bloodshed that the Libyan people are facing, and therefore we may resort to a no-fly zone, and the Arab League and African Union are cooperating in this regard.
Now, while the United States says all options are on the table, top officials have expressed caution over imposing a no-fly zone.
There's a lot of, frankly, loose talk about some of these military options, and let's just call a spade a spade. A no-fly zone begins with an attack on Libya to destroy the air defenses. That's the way you do a no-fly zone. and then you can fly planes around the country and not worry about our guys being shot down. But that's the way it starts.
I'm not endorsing it.
And
I'm
it
just
requires,
wondering.
no, I understand, but it also requires more airplanes than you would find on a single aircraft carrier. So it is a big operation in a big country.
Joining us now is Machoub Zwairi. He is a professor of contemporary history of the Middle East at Qatar University. Thanks again for joining us. Amir Moussa, the Secretary General of the Arab League, is talking about the Arab League imposing a no-fly zone if the fighting continues. Is that viable?
You know, I think this is an attempt to show that there is a regional solution to this crisis, because this uprising in Libya is becoming an international conflict. It's no longer an Libyan crisis. So basically, it's kind of an indication from Arab League that we can play a positive role. Basically, after already a lot of decision has been made by international community, security, by United Nations. I think from last 30, 40 years, regional solution did not work, basically. And I'm not sure that they will be able to do it.
Right.
Libya will not accept that.
And at the same time, the United States and other NATO allies are saying that it's not practical in the short term to impose a no-fly zone.
Yeah, this is correct. According to the previous experiences in no-fly zone, it needs a lot of preparations. I think the statement made by Gates was very clear. It reflects the military opinion on that, which I believe in, because basically it's the preparation. You need to make sure that Libya has any kind of threat to these airplanes who want to protect Libyan, I would say, borders and prevent any kind of plane to use the Libyan fly zone. So basically, it needs a lot of equipment, it needs a lot of preparation, which I'm not sure that nor the international community, neither Arab League, are now ready to do it.
Well, Colonel Gaddafi has spoken again. He's made another speech. He's appeared periodically during the crisis making these speeches. This time, of course, he's saying that the crisis is being spun out of control by the media. When we look at these speeches, is there any way that we could figure out exactly what is the Colonel's strategy here and what is he really thinking?
I think, I watched the three speeches. I noticed three things. One, he has this feeling that there is an increasing pressure on him. And this increasing pressure coming not from within inside Libya, but from outside Libya. The second one, there is a real contradiction of the statements. Sometimes he denies there's kind of state of revolution. Sometimes he says, no, there are people in the street, but they are actually in favor of me. They are supporting me. And the third thing, I think, he believes in, by giving some promises, by providing some kind of promises to people, and say, we may improve your life, I would say, economic life. We can increase the salaries. The problem can be solved. He does not believe that there are other demands to those who are in the street. I think these are the three things. Takes me to the conclusion where basically he is living outside the context of the revolution.